what we're going to do here now is do a little database management. Let's say we have different parts or different imagers that we want to test. In this case, it's going to be very simple. We have a day camera, which is one type of part number, and we have a thermal imager. And we can see the sample here. Assume we have two different cameras. On the top is the day camera, on the bottom is the thermal imager. They're not a multi-sensor system such as a pod. They're each one treated separately. So the CTE has a whole list of tests that can be used to measure the characteristics of either the day camera or the thermal imager. But if we only have in our part number a day camera, we don't need all the tests for the thermal imager. And the characteristics of the day camera, such as the field of view, the pixel pitch, and other things may be totally different than the thermal imager. So how do we handle that in an optimal way is we use what we call a part numbering and serial numbering system. So if we look up here in this little panel, and you can also use the tester to get to the part numbers. But we'll do from here, it's much faster and intuitive. The UUT, this is the UUT panel. UUT stands for Unit Under Test. If I click on here, if I click in here, it'll open up a sub window and it says select current UUT. When the system is shipped to the customer, we integrate it in-house by a virtual part number or template that we call CI integration. All the tests on the list here are adapted for this CI integration, and it may not be exactly the same final configuration that you have on your camera, but you can use these tests here that we've created. Use this as a template when you create a new part number and you start your serialization of the parts. This will allow you, when you want to generate some report history, you can generate a report for numerous number of serial numbers under a specific part number, and you can see some of the history and how they behaved. And of course you can keep a record. That way we can keep a record of all the measurements that we did, and we can see what we did on a specific part number serial number months ago and when it came in again, and you can follow what things failed or didn't fail. So what I want to do here is to create two part numbers to demonstrate this. Now, okay, so CI integration is the part number. Let's go and click on this window, and it says we can either edit, add new part, or manage part numbers. Let's add a new part number. We're going to call this one thermal 1, and it says there's a checkbox copy from an existing part number. Now, as you get more experience, you may have other part numbers that are more closely, their template is closely related to the one that you want to use, but I would start with CI integration and copy that. So we copy that, and we've just created a new part number. But we need to create a serial number. So let's create a serial number, add a new serial number. Whenever you add a new camera serial number, you just go here and add the serial number to the same part number. So we're going to call it Demo 1. Okay, and we've created, and now when we click on the select button, this will be the current part number that we're going to be using. I want to create another part number. So I'm going to call, again, click on the I'm going to create another part number. So again, I click on the UUT panel. Currently, the thermal 1 is created, is selected, but we're going to create a day camera. So we're going to go here to the, we're going to click on the pane or active edit area of the thermal or the part number and add a new part number. Let's call this part number day TV, okay? And again, we want to copy the part number data, not from thermal 1, because let's say we've made a lot of changes. Let's again copy it from CI integration. Now we need to create, so we've created a new part number, but now we need to create a serial number, the first, whatever the serial number for that. So we add new serial number, and let's call it demo day dash A123. Okay, whatever. Click OK, select it. Now we have 3 different part numbers in the system. Each one has their own environment of parameters, global and local parameters. So first of all, we can see here we have 3 part numbers: CI integration, day TV, and thermal imager. And of course, we can always add new part numbers. We can manage, we can delete them, and we can add new serial numbers. If we add a new serial number to day TV, we could say demo or S001, which is our first actual serial number rather than a demo. And we can select from this list now which one we want to be active to save and record all our measurements. I just want to show that the naming convention is something that we set up at CI, but you're more than welcome to change the names at your will. And if you're an administrator, or you have access to the naming convention. If we look at here, if we look at the drop down here, see, we can do a couple of things. If we can set up. If we click the setup button, it'll open up the setup window, and you can edit and add and change the values here of the parameters. Again, if you go on the drop down, you can rename the test. Let's say we want to rename it, I don't know, minimum resolvable contrast. Okay, so you've changed the name. So you're at liberty to change the name however you feel comfortable. Let's see what else we can do, some easy things that we can do. Well, this is more advanced. You can compare, you can clone tests. These are things I would probably do when you're more familiar with the system, and I won't go about that. One thing though, you might be asked if there is some sort of troubleshooting needed and you need to contact us. We might ask you, click on the About for that test, and it'll display the test ID name and its version, because maybe we have different versions out there in the field, and you may have version A and somebody may have a different version. So we need to know how to troubleshoot it if you have an error or a problem with the system. Okay, now that I've created, or we've created a few part numbers, we can start modifying, editing the test list, because we don't need all of them. Like, we know that the thermal imager or the day camera doesn't use MRTD, so we can delete some of these tests and make the test list a little bit simpler if we want. So one of the things, what I want to do is to delete. Now I have to be careful here. Oh, I can't delete. I don't have privileges because I'm logged in as a EE, electrical engineer. Remember, you have to make some sort of rule who has access to deleting files, because you can basically delete the whole project if you're not careful. So right now, only the administrator can do this. So this was just to demonstrate you can't not everybody can delete. We need to go and log on as an administrator. Remember small a is an administrator. Now we can delete. So let's delete some of these files that we don't need, some of these tests. Now you have two radio buttons. One says remove the MRTD object or the name of the test from the current part environment. So that's what we want to do, because the second radio button, this is the one you need to be careful about, is completely delete, and I repeat, completely delete the MRTD objective test from all the profiles, all the templates, or all the part numbers. And this is basically usually only a CI or CI super user function that if we've installed some tests that we don't need anymore, we would delete. So the only thing is relevant to you is that you want to delete this MRTD test from the current part number. So I'm going to delete it. And there's a lot, because here we have a lot of tests. And you just click on the continue button. And of course it prompts you to make sure that this is what you want to do. And so basically delete it. So if I would do it again, we can only do it one at a time. This is just so that we can be careful. Delete again. MRTD. MRTD subjective. Okay, we're not going to show all of them. You don't need to show all of them, but we're going to just clean it up. MTF IR, so we're going to delete all the IR tests. Okay. אני רק מראה את זה כדי ש... Now you don't have to delete them if you don't want to. It just makes things much cleaner and easier to work with. There are other ways to present or represent all the testing. I just like to clean up the clutter and clean up tests that I don't need for specific units. So in this case, we're deleting all the IR tests basically from the day camera, because obviously you don't need them. But there may be other mixture of tests that different cameras have. Maybe one camera has 3 fields of view, so I can delete 2 fields of view, which are basically the same test but different settings, like an MTF wide, narrow, and narrow, or even super narrow, etc. Let's delete the noise. Delete. Delete. Okay, so basically, now you can probably explain. After we've cleaned up all the tests, we have only a few tests left, and there may be even some other tests that you may want to delete, but that's up to you, and we'll take it from there. So we'll do the same thing with the IR tests. When we change to the thermal imager, and we select the serial number, see the change in the test list. In the day TV you have only the visible, and the thermal imager you have all the tests that we had originally. And then, so you see each one lives in its own environment. And we'll go from there. I'll show you how to select the global parameters which affect the different settings of the camera based on the part number. Okay, I want to talk about the concept of global parameters. There are two types of global parameters in the system. One are system-wide global parameters, and you can access them from the tester globals. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And the other one are part number global parameters. That means they're dependent on the part number that you select. And here we can edit part numbers, and you see a table of different parts which are globals and that can be linked to an individual test or multiple tests in the system. Now, what I mean by globals is that a good case is that we have a video input. Let's assume that the thermal imager is using an analog, as we see here, over here, an analog frame grabber. So we see the image here on the analog frame grabber. The visible date camera that we have that's over there is connected via camera link, and of course, since we have a black body as a source behind the target wheel, we can see the target on the analog frame grabber, but you can't see it, of course, on the date camera. Now, as before, if we're talking about some sort of a sequence of tests that we want to run for, let's say, production or for a specific part number, we want to save the settings and for that part number, and then when we convert to another, or when we switch part numbers, we want to load those settings. So in this case, let's say thermal imager, we want to select all the tests. Here we have the test list here. All the tests that require imaging as a source, we want to select the proper camera or proper video feed. Now, for thermal 1, it might be the analog camera. For thermal 2, it might be a totally different frame grabber, or it might be also a camera link. Whatever, there are infinite number of combinations. So what we've done here is, let's say we have a test, let's say MTF or MTF calibration. And you can see it here. We double click on it. You see these blue parameters, or link parameters they're called. The blue signifies that these are global parameters, that their input or the setting is coming from some sort of outside source. So in this case, let's say for vision, here we need to select the vision or the type of camera video input. Here we see for the thermal imager, since we're in the thermal part number, we've selected the thermal frame grabber, or whatever, the analog frame grabber. And you see this arrow, it's an input. Now we need to know, where can we change this value? Well, it's very simple. We go to the part number, click on the parameters list, and we have a whole list, but we need to look for this variable called imager thermal night. We see it over here, imager thermal night, and we have here a drop down where we can select the different devices, and in this case we've selected the thermal analog frame grabber, but we of course can change to other frame grabbers that we had in the system. Now I just named the frame grabbers thermal and visible, so it's easy to identify, but you can of course in the device center rename any way you want the frame grabber or input video device. So for the thermal imager, we have selected the frame bearer, which is analog, and for, let's say if we want to go switch for the day camera, if we switch cameras or UUTs, let's just select any serial number, select, and we go and open up its parameter list. This parameter list is unique to this UUT, and here we can change it to the camera link. And now what this does, and you save it of course, what this does is that all the tests that use this variable are in one click. You've changed all the camera input to the same video source, and so you don't need to go each test separately and individually change this, which is cumbersome when you add many different part numbers. So it's very easy. So this is the concept of global variables and part numbers. Again, part numbers are have their own unique environment, meaning that the parameter list is unique to this specific part number. Okay, so all the variables here, all the results here, let's say even the IFO variables, these values here are the results of tests that are the output of, let's say, MTF calibration for the narrow field of view for this specific type of camera would be stored here, and then it could be loaded under the MTF test. So if we run the calibration or measure the IFO, when we run the MTF test, it uses that output that was measured as an input to the MTF test. Now all these parameters are almost by default at CI are set up ahead of time. Only thing that may change is that the type of camera or video feed, because I don't know, or CI doesn't know how the customer's cameras are going to be connected, and maybe it's done in the field during installation. Okay, thank you. So to summarize, so it's clear, let's say we have the day camera, you selected the UUT as the day camera. If we open up the MTF calibration test, double click on it, we see that the vision device is the visible camera link video input, which was selected from the day TV global variable. We can exit here. If I switch to the FLIR or the thermal imager, and I open up the same test, MTF calibration, we see that the vision device is the analog, because we've selected it from this global variable and we set it already as the analog input. So by example, all the tests that are using the analog or the video for the thermal imager will be set to the analog input. And it's seamless. Once you do it, once you switch between part numbers, it's done automatically. Okay, thank you.